Good afternoon. Hamjambo. Muko salama? Lunch ilikuwa vipi? Ilikuwa sawa? Good. You see, when women says lunch ilikuwa sawa, indeed ilikuwa sawa. So, I want to begin my remarks, and you will bear with me. First of all, thank you for inviting me. You invited me last year, but I couldn't make it. So today, I said I must come. Because it will not be good. We must support women's agenda, and we must work with you. But now on a sad note, it's really sad, because as I was walking in, so I get a call from a friend who tells me, a friend who is a woman who has been in distress is no more. This friend is disabled, and it's even more painful when I look on my phone and I see we had some conversation, and I had promised to do something. And I thought I will do something today, because yesterday was just packed up, and it's really sad. So when I was planning to do something today after work, so even if I can meet her, and then I'm told, you see, she's no more. So it is bad, and especially when I'm sure I'm not the only one, but probably she had shared with some people. So those are the challenges that women go through. But because we are made to be strong, so we die with our problems. We don't speak them up. So we must always make time. We must make women agenda become part and parcel of you, isn't it? Yes. We must make it. Yeah, so I was just telling this friend who called and said that there were signs all over, but some of the things, of course, she was asking me to do, some are beyond my space, especially if it's domestic issues, they're beyond my, isn't it? I say, please, can you tell so-and-so to behave? I say, I'm limited in how much I can talk to this man, to that man in the picture. Because then it will be like I'm getting into that person's space, isn't it? So those are the challenges. We need to help, but how do we get into those spaces? How do we open up family spaces? How do we open up family spaces? How do we make it so public so that we can get in and support women? And these issues of femicide will not be there. These issues of women. This lady is, she was born deaf. So even if she cries, you can't hear. Isn't it? She cannot hear, you can now just write. And there's so much you can express when you're writing, isn't it? At least when you can speak, you can let out a huge cry. But if you cannot speak, what happens? So anyway, it is sad. I think probably it will be in the news. Maybe it will be. But I felt, may her soul rest in peace. And I just told the friend who told me that I just have to take over the kids. And they have to be mine now. Beginning today until then, have to be my family. Otherwise, it will never be good. Now, today, I never really prepared anything much to tell you, but I said from the experience that we've had and sitting in the sector in which I am in, the MSME sector, the sector that we think has opportunities for economic participation or rather economic empowerment, I just said I want to come here and pronounce loudly that women's rights are economic rights. Yeah. So if we begin from there, then everything else will fall in place. So women's rights, we have to treat them the way we also treating our economy. We get worried when our economy slows down, isn't it? So we got to get it also worried when things are not happening in the women's space. So then how do we institutionalize that? How do we mainstream it? First, if it becomes an economic right, then it becomes everybody's agenda. Everybody's agenda, every sector's agenda has to be a priority in each and every sector. When we discuss about agricultural productivity, at the back of our mind, we must have women. When we talk about healthcare, we must have women. When we talk about security, we must have who? Women. Because all those are the ingredients that promotes economic growth. So women's rights are economic rights. Because an economically empowered woman has an independent mind, can make a choice, isn't it? Like this lady, if she was economically empowered, she will not be crying and pleading to someone who is not seeing that this has to happen. Because then you are fully empowered. You can make your own decision. The time and space becomes, you can galvanize, become the queen of that space to say what you need to do at any given time. And everybody will respect you as a strategic partner in all engagement because there is something you're putting on the table. So the conversation here should be from my sector. How do we make women become economically empowered? How do we position women? And where does this conversation needs to begin? Why do we have to wait until somebody has become a woman? Doesn't it need to be part of our curriculum? From the early education, so that we start appreciating. Doesn't our young boys start appreciating that in this village, we have a responsibility of our young girls here? Because if they grow up not being empowered, they will still be our burden, isn't it? Yeah, so what do we need to start doing? Don't we need to inculcate it in our curriculum so that when the boys start appreciating that I cannot kill, this is like my mother and probably my potential wife, isn't it? And also start seeing in the future, if I have a daughter, why do I need this daughter to be treated? So we need to look at which policies. And then why do we need to have this conversation? Do we need to have it in an exclusive space, like here, for example, where a majority of people are women? So whom are we telling this story? Who are the actors? Those are some of the questions that we ask. So if it has to be perceived from an economic perspective, then we need to be in the spaces where other economic actors belong, so that we are here and everybody appreciates. In my space of MSME, and we've seen it from experience, if you lend a woman, she'll repay. But we have refused to collateralize that attribute. The banks know. You talk to them, they say the best customers are women, but they don't make it a collateral. Are we seeing? So why would you praise me? Why can't we socialize that attribute to give an edge to women so then they can access opportunities? So we need to look at it from an economic perspective and all those attributes that comes with being a woman, being tender, being caring, being keen to details. All these we can collateralize or we can cost them to become an asset. And so this is what then opens the door. There was one time in the political formation in which I belong, and I said, naturally, a mother, women are the peacemakers, isn't it? Yes. In any setup. Because a woman takes time to understand issues and to make a decision. And whatever decision the mother will make will be something that is in the best interest of the entire family. Of course, beginning with your big baby, who is your husband. All you have one, isn't it? Or your other. Of course, our first child is, if you're married, your first child is? Isn't that the truth? Do you know that our first child? Isn't it? Yeah. You know, I don't know if men are here. You need just to, if you are here, forgive me. But I usually say that women, we are created to carry. Even from that simple and literal meaning of carrying, we carry everybody. We carry our children, but we carry also men. Yeah, our significant others. Don't you carry them? Hey, don't you carry them? Thank you. Isn't it? And you want you carry them. And you want to imagine how we carry them. Sometimes you are like a 15 GB like myself. But you're carrying some heavy load. But God gave you the strength and the pillars to do what? Hallelujah. So we got to be respected. And I want you today who have significant others, I want you to go and do that experience today. Change the role. Even if you are sitting watching your TV news, try to rest. Just put your small weight on those significant others. Ebu jaribu kualalia kwa tumbo. Yeah, just, you know, it's a good thing. So let them come and say, today, you know, jifanya hata kiti, haika hapo karibu, mulalie. How many minutes will you last there kama umemkalia? Kama utasukumwa. Hello? Isn't it? So it's a miracle that women, even physically, God has made us in a way through which we can carry everything. And this is not something that you want to play with. You can't joke with that. They cannot. Even a baby. Forget about, give him a baby to carry. How many minutes will he carry that baby? Maximum? Anakuambia chukua mtoto wako. Anataka kunyonya. That will be the thing. But the other point I want to make, and I've had this conversation with many people, that so that we don't leave anyone behind, if you want not to leave anyone behind, you must first of all carry the woman. And everybody else will follow. In a normal day from church, you sit down in your house. If a baby is crying for food, where does the baby go? If your significant other is asking for food, where does he look? The wife, isn't it? So meaning that we are created to be the economic pillars. So I don't know why we are not economically empowered. So my message today, I wish I was here to listen to what you're discussing, but my message today was just to say we need now, as we revisit the gains that we have made since Beijing, we need now to focus on economic empowerment. So the government is coming up with a number of initiatives. Myself, I'm administering the Hustler Fund. Now let me tell you the nexus between Hustler Fund and women. And then I'll go and sit down and allow the good people who are supposed to come to the panel to come. Now, the Hustler Fund, the experience we've had so far in the last 2 years, we've now subjected them to a behavioral rating system. We have close to 6 million Kenyans out of the 25.3 million who have gone through the Hustler Fund, but they are good borrowers. They are rating A's and B. Today in the morning, I had a conversation with CRB. You see, CRB is not about negative listing, it's also about positive listing. Today, the banks are talking about risk-based financing. Now, risk-based financing is where they assess you on individual basis, so that your interest rate will vary from what high interest rate will be. But to assess you, they need to have some form of data or history about you. If you ask me what have I done with the Hustler Fund, I have established credit history. Now you can be assessed from somewhere. Now, because this was a government sponsored initiative in terms of resources, which is public resources, there is always moral hazards, isn't it? Where people will take and not pay. But today I'm telling you, we have 6 million, quite a number of them, of course, women are paying well, who have demonstrated that they have good borrowing behavior and have braved off the moral hazard. So if you are a bank and you are here, commercial bank, and you want to acquire customers, wouldn't you go to someone who have braved off, who have demonstrated that and overcome the moral hazard? Do you want to ask that person for a collateral, for a title deed, when we know women do not own properties? So Hustler Fund, the collateral reforms that you're trying to do, it is going to be of more help for people, especially like women, who do not own properties. Are we together? And we had a conversation with CRBs, and I'm telling them, how do we bring out this attribute? So that when the bank sends this data for you to look at their credit worthiness, the Hustler Fund one, the one who is grading high loan Hustler Fund, should have much weight. So if we continue like that, we are opening up space for women now to access more financing based on the risk-based financing. So if you want to remember anything else, I want to encourage women to take advantage of that. When you can be, if you can be trusted with 500 shillings, you can equally be trusted with 1 million. That is the secret when it comes. So finally, thank you very much. We began on a sad note. It will still run in our veins, but we are sad. I just wanted to bring that story, but also as a reminder of the women that we have lost in this country in the last couple of months. It is so sad how someone can take a woman, someone's child, who was carried 9 months, and you really cut into pieces like you are chopping meat and put in a bag. Something needs to happen. Let's join hands and empower women economically. My office is open. We can sit together and get into details on how we can achieve economic empowerment across the country, in every community, and at every age of womanhood, including even our small girls, our baby girls who are still coming up. Thank you very much.